I hope my screen is audible and sorry, my screen is visible and I am audible. Let me know. Cool. Okay. So, before proceeding, I would like to know from you all uh, about what we have learned so far in this Android course, and are you able to understand dependency injection? Um, Following in the alphabetical order, I would like to know, Deepak, were you were able to understand dependency injection?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Is there any doubt from your end?
यस सर, डाउट तो बहुत सारे हैं सर.
Okay. So why didn't you ask that over the group?
सर अभी सर मैं नया प्रोग्रामिंग में हूँ सर, थोड़ा सा पिछले वाला भी सर क्लियर कर रहा हूँ, पिछले वाले ही पढ़ रहा हूँ सर अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा करके.
Okay. I will highly recommend, if you have few people uh, that you know that can help. Definitely reach out to them. If they doesn't help you out or you didn't get clarity, just ping me over the DM. Okay.
ओके सर.
Cool. Cool. Hi Darshini. um, I hope in the
Yes, sir.
last session you were able to understand dependency injection, and I hope you gone through the concept in the weekend or in your free time. So, are you clear with dependency injection, how to use that, or at least what we are doing with dependency injection? Cool, cool. Harsh, same question for you. Are we good with dependency injection using Dagger Hill?
Yes, sir. After you told us in the class, like I understood it a lot, and after that I did a lot of research and read a lot of documentations on that. And like right now, I'm very clear in my mind, like what's going on behind the scenes, like about the modules, the annotations, and everything.
Cool, cool. Okay. Uh, so, okay. Raj,
Yes, sir.
are we clear with dependency injection?
Yes, sir. मतलब not so clear, but I have a basic understanding of what going on, and I have tried implementing it, but uh, couldn't able to do it well. I am getting lots of errors, but I am resolving it. I'll do it.
Cool. Okay, okay. Tulika?
यस सर, जो टॉपिक क्लास में हुआ था वो क्लियर था, बट अभी रिवाइज करने का टाइम नहीं मिला था पिछले 2 दिन में, तो एक बार देखना पड़ेगा.
Okay. Vishesh? Cool. Okay then. Uh, cool. So today we gonna learn about more uh, in Android. But uh, basically, apart from UI, we gonna learn more about the architecture setup. Okay. So that gonna involve building the basic UI, understanding the repository pattern, okay, and revising the Android, revising the Dagger Hilt implementation again. Okay, so cool. In the last session, we created something called repository. So my question to people who have tried Dagger Hill, did you try it with repository and other classes, or you have tried with just view models and composables? Okay, apart from Harsh, Do anybody understand about repository pattern? If no, then you can react by this. Okay. Raj, Tulika, Vishesh, Deepak. Okay. So, uh, okay. So let me share you some scenarios or some uh, guidelines from Android developer from Google. Okay. So, what Android developer team says or suggests us to have a defined architecture for your app. Okay, what I mean by architecture, like if you are building let's say, okay, if you are building a, let's say, home. Okay, we have some few setups to do. All right, we first uh, make the land plane. Okay, like I'm not a civil engineer, don't have much detail, but uh, uh, saying based on my observation. Okay, we plane the land. Okay, then we set up the foundations. Okay, then we set up the initial layers. Okay, then we set up the beam. Okay, and we create some entry point, exit points. Okay, windows. Okay, basically we do all of that based on the blueprint that we have, right? That like in your home or in any other home or house or any building, you might have seen some blue printing with some details that this will be there, this will be there, and other things, right? So having a uh, broad discussed and a well planned architecture make sure that in any extreme conditions your house will be very well uh, safe and will not collapse. Okay, something like rainfall. Okay, it can be earthquake. Okay, it can be lightning. Okay, and apart from that, this harsh things, we also have to make sure that people living inside this building will have comfort. Okay, they can freely move. Okay, they can access various things very easily. Okay, so having a well architecture will help not only your building but people inside it as well. Okay, so investing on a architecture, whether it is a building or an software, it's always a good idea. Okay, because with that we uh, we generally create scalable, readable. Okay, and a very good code base, so that if any engineer or any other person comes to work on that, we will be he will or she will be easily able to contribute on them. Okay, so as we have learned that currently, we use single activity architecture. We don't use fragment much more nowadays. Okay, so we have activities and keep on changing of composable screens. Okay, so we are aware about the single activity architecture. Okay, where we only have to deal with the life cycle of a single activity. Okay, and for navigation we use the nav graph and the nav controller. Okay, to change our composable screens. Okay, now what Android says. Okay, I'll just showcase the diagram. What Android says, Kina, you divide your app into three layers. Okay, those layers can be further been broken down into many layers, but for starting we'll take it to the basic. Okay, so what Android team says, or generally very much experienced people in software, what generally says that divide your responsibility, like divide your app based on different responsibility. Okay, so what it meant that I'll just explain this diagram in this whiteboard. Okay, what it meant, like if you have a screen. Okay, let's say we are building a chat application. Okay, okay, so in the chat application we have various things. Okay, first, that the UI. Okay, whatever you see in the app is come as the UI. Okay, now UI is not only about the layouts that you see in over the screen. Okay, it's also included with the states. Okay, that you manage. Okay, so uh, basically if I break it down, states are what we are showing in the UI. Okay, so those two things comes under the UI layer. Okay, so to manage this, what Android have provided as the composables. Okay, composables. Okay, and view model. Okay, can anybody tell me why we are using view model? Like when we were learning about the view model, what was the first thing that I shared, which make this view model like important aspect of this app architecture? Like there was one key point regarding the view models that I shared.
यस सर, कॉन्फ़िगरेशन चेंज होने पे हमारा डेटा रीसेट ना हो इसलिए व्यू
Correct, correct. That's absolutely correct. That the whole point of व्यू मॉडल, द स्पेशली एंड्रॉयड व्यू मॉडल, ओके, जिसको आप एक्सटेंड करते हो किसी क्लास में, जब आप उसकी डिपेंडेंसी डाल के जब आप व्यू मॉडल एक्सटेंड करते हो, ओके, दैट इज अ एंड्रॉयड व्यू मॉडल. ओके, एंड्रॉयड व्यू मॉडल. ओके, as Shiva mentioned, the majorly it is used to survive the configuration changes. Okay, and keep the state intact in different conditions. Okay, so as the states are directly aligned to the UI part, this UI and state, generally the composable and view model, comes into the UI layer. Okay, okay, so in the diagram that you see here, this UI layer, it is generally saying that this UI layer consists of composables and view models throughout your project. If you have 1000 composables and 500 view models, each and every composable and view model comes inside the UI layer. Okay, and their responsibility is one to inflate the UI. Inflate the UI मतलब स्क्रीन में UI को दिखाना. ओके, एंड व्यू मॉडल का काम है स्टेट मैनेज करना. ओके, मतलब वो डेटा रिक्वेस्ट करेगा, डेटा आएगा, उसको प्रोसेस करके स्टेट जनरेट करेगा. स्टेट चेंज होगी तो हमारा कंपोजेबल चेंज होगा, कंपोजेबल चेंज होगा तो हमारा यूआई चेंज होगा. Okay, so this is a very broad perspective. Like if you are able to understand it, कि these two things works together and these two things come inside the UI layer. ऐसा मत समझना कि व्यू मॉडल से हम UI में कुछ बना नहीं रहे हैं तो दिस इज नॉट इंक्लूडेड, बट indirectly view model is exposed to different states which our composable is consuming, right? तो अगर व्यू मॉडल स्टेट्स दे रहा है जिसके कारण कंपोजेबल चेंज हो रहा है, So in a way, this is a, a part of a UI layer only. Okay. And as Shiva mentioned, configuration changes is one of the aspect. The other aspect that we gonna learn when we going to learn asynchronous programming using flows and coroutines, then we gonna learn more and more features of view model that is provided by the Android team. Okay, some of them are scopes, some of them are collecting flows. Okay, some of them are like emitting states. Okay, there are many things that this view model can help us to achieve. Okay, and uh, with those APIs, we were able to do complex tasks easily to handle our states. Okay, so I hope we are clear with the UI layer. Cool. I hope Darshini and Shiva and Vishesh are able to grab this um, uh, particular thing here. Okay. Now, what they say that UI layer should connect to the domain layer, but also they have put it a optional bracket inside the domain layer. Okay. So for time being, what we gonna do? We gonna ignore this part for time being, but in future, whenever we building our next project, okay, I'm gonna discuss about this domain layer in a pretty much detail. Okay, uh, because this domain layer can leads to confusion if you are not aware about UI layer and the data layer. Okay, so now coming to the data layer. Okay, and here when we talk about data layer, okay, we come to this repository pattern. Okay, so जैसे कि मैंने कहा था कि व्यू मॉडल, लेट मी erase those things. Okay, okay, so टिल हियर जितना भी हमें यूआई में चीजें दिख रही है, ओके, जो भी हो गया, जो भी हमें डिटेल्स यूआई में दिख रहा है, ओके, दिस इज कोरस्पॉन्ड टू द यूआई लेयर. ओके, which is nothing but composables. ओके, प्लस व्यू मॉडल्स. ओके, अब इसके अंदर आप बोलोगे तो अदर चीज़ें भी आती है, जैसे कि एक्टिविटीज हो गई. ओके, डिफरेंट कॉमन कंपोनेंट्स हो गए, एक्टिविटीज हो गई, थीम्स हो गए. ओके, थीम्स हो गए. ओके, एंड अदर थिंग दैट इज डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली related to the inflation of the UI. Okay, or the drawing of the UI. Okay, so that comes under the UI layer. Okay, now if you are building an app, something like chat app, okay, you are not gonna do it without internet, right? आपको कहीं से कुछ डेटा चाहिए based on the input you have given. Okay, let's take an example of WhatsApp. If you are talking to your friend or any other person at different place of the world, okay, the device, that is the user 1 and user 2, get connected through a socket connection. Okay, and when you change the exchange the data, okay, it goes from one, like from server to this person, and from here to this person, right? A socket connection gets built between these two devices. Okay, but without the internet, and without approaching calling some API call, you will be not able to build this stuff. Okay, but let's say instead of server you use the Bluetooth. Okay, okay, and then you try to connect to the app. Okay, but still for this you need to have some Bluetooth permission and the data transmission between these two devices. Okay, now here the keyword here the keyword was data. Okay, so everything is based on the data of what you are sending and what you are receiving. Okay, so what Android developer team says, key create a specific portion of your Android app as a data layer. Okay, which gonna work as a single source of truth for your throughout the app. Okay, I'm just gonna share it what I mean by it. Okay, so in this example where I build a chat application which not only connect you with the different user, but if you don't have the internet you can always chat with a person like let's say 10-meter away through Bluetooth as well. Okay, so to implement it, what architecture they suggest, कि keep your all the stuff that is related to data handling in a single sorry uh, in a separate area. Okay, so if I further divide into other parts, what I meant to say कि अगर आप सर्वर से चीजें कनेक्ट कर रहे हो, so it's a network call. Okay, and if you are saving the cache memory somewhere, okay, it is inside the local cache layer. Okay, and if you are connecting via some let's say Bluetooth service, this is Bluetooth service, this again will come to a data layer. Okay, and what we do next, we because this the UI that you see the UI that you see is somewhere related to the data either based on the network, on the local or the cache, right? So what we do these three specific layer, divide, we divide this three specific layer and connect it with a repository. Okay, so this repository is indirectly your single source of truth on based on any UI action that happens over the app. Okay, so the repository, if you let's say if you have a let's see three conditions. Let's say if you have a internet available. Okay, and the other person is also online. Okay, then if you hit the send message method. Okay, send message method in your view model gonna interact with the repository. Okay, and based on some conditions we have applied here, if the internet is available or not, based on here we gonna uh, take the data from the respective layer. If we have internet, then we gonna take from the network service. If internet is not there and we have some local data in our storage, we gonna fetch that. Okay, and if we don't have network service and the user is connected through Bluetooth, then I'm gonna talk to the Bluetooth service. Okay, now let me know, if I show you this diagram, will it making sense that we have divided our respective things into separate layer, and based on the different conditions the view model interact with the repository. Based on that, then repository will take the respective action to take the data from the respective layer. So if I show you this diagram, are we able to make sense what we are able to achieve here? uh, cool. Question to Shiva, Vishesh, Deepak. Are we able to understand what we are doing here? So basically, we are dividing each chunk of operations into respective classes so that based on certain conditions, we can always extract those data from different layer very easily. Okay. अब मैं इसका ना प्रॉब्लम बताता हूँ if we don't do that. Okay. Let's see, let's try to think in a perspective that we don't have these things. Okay. आपने कुछ नहीं किया, आपने ऐप बनाया. ओके. ओके. आपने कंपोजेबल्स लिखे which gonna build the pretty UI for you. ओके. एंड आपने व्यू मॉडल से इसको कनेक्ट किया. ओके. नाउ अगर अगर आपके पास कुछ ऐसा यूआई है, लेट मी शो केस टू यू. अगर आपके पास कुछ ऐसा यूआई है कि यहाँ पे आप चैट कर सकते हो मॉडल के साथ इन अ टेक्स्ट बेस्ड. ओके. और यहाँ पे आप चैट कर सकते हो इन अ इमेज बेस्ड एआई मॉडल. ओके. बट इफ यू क्रिएट अ रिस्पेक्टिव व्यू मॉडल अलग अलग. ओके. देयर कैन बी अ पॉसिबिलिटीज कि इन दोनों व्यू मॉडल में यू गोना राइट द सेम कोड. ओके. कंसिडरिंग आपके पास रिपोजिटरी नहीं है, आपके पास लोकल सर्विस नहीं है, नेटवर्क सर्विस नहीं है, कैशे मेमोरी नहीं है. ओके. तब होगा क्या, यू गोना डू दैट सेम टास्क फॉर टू ऑफ द ऑपरेशंस अगेन एंड अगेन. आप उसी व्यू मॉडल में चीजें बार बार लिखोगे. ओके. इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करोगे. सो इन दैट प्रोसेस what gonna happen, you gonna repeat yourself. Okay. And you're gonna violating the one of the core principles of programming. The core principle of programming says कि if it is the stuff is repeating, you are doing something wrong. Okay. This is one of the problem. Second problem is that कि if you wanted to test your view models at very respective use cases, it gonna be very hard. क्यों? क्योंकि आपका व्यू मॉडल डिफरेंट सिनेरियोस को हैंडल करते करते बहुत बड़ा हो जाएगा और हर सिनेरियोस को मॉक करना आपके लिए बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा. ओके. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द मेजर इश्यूज. ओके. And let's say in future you wanted to add more layers, more features, and you are not separating your data into different layer. आप होगा क्या, एक ही व्यू मॉडल के अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें डालते जाओगे डालते जाओगे डालते जाओगे. ओके. इन दैट वे the view model will get so big that the state management will get very complex. Okay. And eventually the code will become less scalable, less readable. Okay. And uh, implementing a feature will be a nightmare for any developer. टाइम ज़्यादा लगेगा, एफर्ट ज़्यादा लगेगा और प्रोडक्ट भी खराब बनेगा. ओके. सो वी डोंट वांट टू have these things over our app. What we want ki we gonna divide each layer. Okay. Into different subclasses, connect to them with one class, and let the view model make the request, let the repository do the logic. Okay. For you, and give you the respective data that you are seeking. Okay. So I hope this explanation makes sense, and if you see this diagram, you are able to understand what we are doing here. I will highly appreciate if you all can unmute and say yes, we were able to understood. In that manner, I don't have to scroll to screens again and again.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Understood.
Cool. Now we're gonna see the implementation of this repository pattern. As today we have introduced it, we're gonna see how we can implement it and how we gonna use that in tomorrow continuation of this project. Okay, so today we are gonna build a chat application which gonna use the Gemini AI SDK provided by Android. Okay, so before jumping to that, let me share you how we gonna do that. Okay, if I do Gemini Android AP SDK. Okay, uh yeah. uh, hmm. So this is the documentation for Android. I'm gonna share with you over here. Okay, the whole point of the drill for this basic application is that if I explain you the overview what we are doing today, and I help you with the dependency injection, by tomorrow you all give me a working chat application before me building it in front of you. Okay, so that once done we're gonna see some other important edge cases that we can solve and that we can handle. Okay, so just be with me. I'm gonna share you some resources that gonna help you build the uh, chat Android app while implementing the dependency injection as well. Okay, so I will also request you all ki log in to your Google account. Okay, and create an API key in order to use the Gemini SDK. Okay, but before moving to that, I would like to know from you, have you all ever heard of term Gemini uh, from Google? Okay, cool. Harsh, you wanna explain what this Gemini thing is doing in Android?
Sir, it is an generative AI model which helps us just as a chat GPT.
Correct. So based on some inputs and we give to the model, and based on some configuration, the model try to revert the as accurate as possible data to us, right? So just imagine with few lines of configuration and few lines of code you will be able to build your own chat GPT app. Okay, so let's see. Yes, yes, that this model use LLM mechanism. Okay, now if you go to here and select the Android, we're gonna explore the uh, documentation. Okay, and we're gonna implement it over our application as well. Okay, so first step for you all is to get an API key. Okay, tomorrow we're gonna learn how we gonna uh, how we can store an API key without making it public to either GitHub or to your official app. Okay, basically we gonna learn how to add an API key to an Android project in a most secure way possible. Okay, so once you have the API key, you can easily generate, just hit that button, login, and you will be able to create a API key for you. Okay. Cool. Now the first step is to import this dependency. Okay. The generative AI dependency for Android. Okay. Now this dependency gives us this generative model. Okay. Based on what model you wanted to use. Okay. So there are various model that are provided by this dependency. Okay. So in the generative model, uh, based on your different use cases, we can give different model name. Okay. And as simple as possible, we are giving the API key. Okay. So that you can make a request to the Google server. Okay. uh, if I'm aware it or understood it correctly, there is a AI model that works locally in your Android app as well. That is called Nano, Gemini Nano. Okay. And you can implement it as well, but that is for our out of scope of our course, but you can definitely have a look. Okay. So the use case of this API key is that you can make 60 requests per minute using this API key. Basically have some limitations. Okay. Now in our chat application, this will be the UI. Let me showcase. Okay. I hope, yeah. So till now I have implemented this. I'm gonna help you learn building this as well. Okay. So what it does, uh, in this text chat screen. Okay. Basically this is a tab layout. Okay. And here we are inflating the data that we gonna showcase. Okay. And in the text chat you will be having a prompt place here to provide whatever you wanted to uh, get known by the model, and the model will give us the output as the in the form of a chat. Okay. Like how we have in the chat gpt. And in the image chat, we gonna learn how to select an image from our local media and display over our message type box and send it. Okay. And then we gonna learn some things about architecture, some things about list, um, lazy list. Okay. And about view model. But for today we're gonna learn how to build this. Okay. And how to integrate the generative model for in our app. Okay. Basically setup, doing the basic setup, so that tomorrow we'll just gonna focus on building the pretty UI for us. Okay. So we were here. Okay. So our two use case are this: building the multi-turn conversation, the chat app. Okay. Generated text from the text and image input. So you can give an image and a prompt, and the model will be giving you the result based on the prompt you are providing. Okay. So basic uh, conversation. Just a second, let me showcase you for the chat. So this generative model that we are building is giving us this helper method called start chat, which consists of various roles like user and model. Okay. So we gonna design our app in a such a way that it is configurable, that whenever we are giving an input, it count as a, user role, and whenever the model is generating the result, it is coming as a model role. Okay. And this history, uh, this history property is kind of a very exciting, because if you see in ChatGPT app, whatever you have searched, uh, whatever you search is somewhat cached in the website itself, right? And with this history block, you can do the same. Okay, we're gonna discuss this in a much more detail in just a bit. Okay, but uh, once you call the start chat method, you can always use this object to keep continuing the conversation based on the different roles. Okay, now we're gonna discuss about the bitmap, not now. The whole thing is to discuss about the chat first. Okay, also, uh, once you do this send message method over this generative model, this is an asynchronous method. Asynchronous method means this method once have some input, and to get the output, this method can take some time. Let's say 2 seconds, 1 second, 700 milliseconds. It can be any amount based on the data you have requested. Okay, so there are two ways that one we can show a loading bar. Okay, or we can use this generate content stream method. Okay, which is a part of some advanced coroutine stuff. But what it generally do, uh, as as you have seen in the chat gpt app, that once you provide a prompt, uh, it keep on generating the text as like the model is writing it for you. Okay, so instead of showing just the output, we can also show the response it is generating line by line. Okay, so generally it works like a string. So let's say if you provided a prompt and the model have to generate this much of content. Okay, so instead of showing this content in a once, what you can do, you can show this of content in like a line wise order to give a better user experience to the users. Okay, so this is one of the stuff that we can do from the model. Okay, now uh, I am not coming from the mlai background, but generally providing this much of configuration generally helps to specify or configure your model. Okay, so in the configuration, let me see if they provided a detail here. Just a second. I think it is here. Yeah, so I'm gonna share this over here as well. Okay, not coming from the mlai stuff, but what I have understand basically, based on the inputs you give. Okay, based on the in-depth values you give, the output of the model changes. Okay, so we're gonna have a look into that once we create our app, and then we can play with these different values to see how it is performing. Okay, to have a better understanding, but I'll invite you all to have a read upon it. Okay, and tomorrow we can play around with those things to understand how they are reflecting. Okay, so we gonna configure this, and then we gonna provide it to the generative model. Okay, uh, Also, if you are making use of this model to make it official or somewhere over some community or other use case, you will definitely want to have this safety settings where you don't entertain some things that is harmful for your users. Okay, so you can definitely provide those things very easily using this safety settings provided by the this property of this generative model. Okay, cool. So we need this in order to build our model. In that we can make the send chat call and continue doing the conversation with the model. Okay, so till now let me know कि क्या आप लोगों को where is my meet. Okay, are we able to understand what is repository pattern? Cool. Now you understand what is repository pattern, but the important aspect was क्या आप लोग को समझ में आया कि why we are using the repository pattern? Okay, that's good. Okay, now apart from that आप लोग को Gemini SDK के बारे में समझ में आया what is Gemini SDK and how we gonna use that to build our chat application? Cool. Okay, now in that case if we are clear with that thing, let's jump back to the Android Studio. Okay, uh, but before proceeding, let me see if I can provide you this. uh, yeah, so I will request you all to follow this repository. Okay, go through them. Okay, it's a simple implementation of here. Okay, try to clone it. Okay, try to create your API key. Okay, provide it to the required place. Okay, and try to clone this repository and make it run. Okay, so I'm gonna share this link. uh, okay, and I just have cloned it and see if it was working. Okay, so let me close it, let me see if we have it. Not, we don't have it. Okay, so this is the app that I have cloned and was going through what they have implemented, how they have implemented. Okay, we're gonna use this most of the stuff, but we're gonna implement other things in order to learn about repository patterns and dependency injection. Okay, so let me make it run the app for you to see how it looks like. Okay, so I hope my Android Studio is visible. Let me know. Okay, okay, so here are the some use case that if you wanted to have a chat with the model with the image input, or you want only the text only input, or you just wanted to have a multi conversation model use case. So let's see have a this option. Okay, you can see we are seeing the user model stuff. Okay, we're gonna discuss this in a much more detail. Okay, so here I can provide hello, tell me more about Android open source project and how I can learn it. Okay, something like this. Okay, see, you can see we have a loading bar here But in case that we wanted to showcase the output based on a stream, so that we can see whatever the things the model is generating, we can do that. Okay, so आप देख सकते हो कि we got these things get build up uh, in a just like in a one way, right? Like it got generated um, like पूरा एक साथ जनरेट हो गया, राइट? वी डोंट वांट दैट. व्हाट वी वांट कि बेस्ड ऑन, oops, my bad, based on the input I give, it keep on generating stuff. Okay, so we're gonna learn that implementation here tomorrow. Also, if I do this, you can see the whole chat is getting disappeared. We're gonna also fix this. Okay, let me write it alone again. Okay, you must have also seen a scenario कि मैं जब I was going back, whatever have been generated have been like gone, right? It was not been cached in my Android app. Okay, so this is how the working of things work. Okay, and you can always implement this Gemini SDK in your one of your application to build, let's say, some a bot system. Okay, or let's say some um, uh, uh, basically I forgetting that name. Basically, you can use that app to explain. You can use this SDK to explain more about your project, more about your app, where what feature does what, and based on, like, you can create lots of use case out of this SDK. Okay, so we're gonna build that. The UI will be little different in order to explain you certain things that generally comes in handling different states. Okay, so one task for you all will be to clone this repository, make it work. If you are not able to do so, let me know. Okay, then we gonna build the things on the top of that. Okay, now uh coming array sorry coming to my app. Okay, let me clear it out and run this. Meanwhile, let me know, are we clear, are we understanding what we're doing till now? Cool. The whole approach is to take things step by step. Don't overwhelmed with the things. Okay, okay, so this is my basic UI. Welcome to Gemini chat app. Provide your contact number. Here's are the terms and conditions. Okay, now with just this UI, you can do lots of stuff. For example, I have created this text field to enter the numbers. Okay, you can create a validation uh, logic here, that if the number is 10 digit only, if the number is Indian only, then one can proceed. Okay, in the text field you can make this clickable. If a user click it, it will load a web view. Okay, you can do as many iterations over this screen to increase your uh, Android composable knowledge. Okay, so if I proceed, I generally come to this home screen, which contains a tab layout, which once pressed and uh, which one pressed will take us to the different screens. Okay, so if I showcase what I've done, if I minimize everything. Okay, so you can see I have created the things based on different package. the UI layer, the navigation layer, the features. Now the feature have lots of um, packages. Okay, in that we gonna uh, keep on adding more items to it. Okay, so going with this home screen. Okay, we have a list of items. Okay, I have created a data class which contains the detail of those items. Okay, and I have created a, oh my bad, I have create, let me put it like this way. I have created a tab row. Okay, which generally help us to implement just this top of the top of the layout. Okay, this is a material element. Okay, that we can use to create this layout. Okay, and this tab respective, like whatever things that is happening here, you can see the ripple effect, you can see this item shifted from here to here, you can see the content being changing. This is all over happening because of this tab row. Okay, and to have this behavior, I have used this tab item that is coming from this tab row. Okay, and based on certain logic, I have make it uh, uh, functioning based on the different clicks I do. And basically whatever item I click, I just inflate that, make that item selectable, and make the other item non selectable. Okay, so for to do that, we have this handy method and that I'm using over my list of items. Okay, tab items, to see if the index that I'm touching is equal to the selected index that I have provided by default. So if you see the state of it, it is selected by 0 by default. Okay, so that way I'm making it selectable and unselectable and doing the certain operations. Okay, now about this horizontal pager. uh, so what we wanted that not only on the touch but on the screen swipe, we gonna change from one screen to another. Okay, so for this horizontal pager, this is also coming from the material. I'm just gonna showcase it how you can implement that. You have to go to the app layout section in the pager, and you can basically go through that and you can create a pager for yourself as well. Okay, so instead of having those buttons which control this pager, what we have tab layouts, and based on certain clicks on the tab layout, uh, on the click of certain yeah, on the tab layout click, I am updating the select index state, and on the change of that state, I am changing the or controlling the horizontal pager to do the stuff, changing of the content for me. Okay, so try to build this this should be helpful to build the basic layout of this app. Okay, and you're gonna learn about how to control this pager. Okay, this pager composable, and how you can do multiple things using this horizontal, basically using this pager. Okay, it can be horizontal or vertical. Okay, as in our nav graph we have nav controller, also for pager we have a state mechanism that we can use to do certain operations. Okay, so I will highly recommend you to give it a read. Okay, and try to implement it. Okay, Now what I have done in our base project, that I am going to share the uh, um, apk, or sorry, the zip file with you. Okay, so what I have done, I have implemented or added the dependency for hilt as well. Okay, so we gonna first set up the repository pattern for our app. Okay, and tomorrow we gonna use that pattern, whatever implementation we have done, so that we can just focus on the UI. Okay, so I have added the hilt here. Okay, and the required dependencies here, so that I can implement the hilt. Okay, now we're gonna do some exercise. Okay, and we're gonna proceed how we can uh, basically start implementing the DI. Okay, so coming to you all, मेरे को इस ऐप में DI implement करना है. Okay, to provide my repositories and other service classes. How should I proceed? Like, you can take help from the internet and the documentation. You just let me know, and we'll try to do the same over the app. Okay, sharing the docs links here. Basically what I'm saying, हमने रिपोजिटरी पैटर्न सीख लिया. अब हमें इसको अप्लाई करना है. ठीक है, अब इसको हमें अप्लाई करना है. ये रिपोजिटरी क्लास इसमें यूज होएगी, इसकी डिपेंडेंसी रहेगी, तो हमें डिपेंडेंसी इंजेक्शन को इम्प्लीमेंट करना पड़ेगा. राइट, सो माय क्वेश्चन इज कि हाउ गोना वी डिजाइन अवर ऐप. ओके, एंड हाउ वी गोना इम्प्लीमेंट द dependency injection for our app. Like, how should I proceed first? मैंने यहाँ पे डिपेंडेंसी ऐड कर दी है. व्हाट शुड बी माय नेक्स्ट स्टेप? टेक योर टाइम, आई एम जस्ट कमिंग इन अ सेकेंड. Go ahead. Who gonna want to go first? माय क्वेश्चन इज कि मेरे को डिपेंडेंसी इंजेक्शन लगाना है अपने ऐप में. मैंने डिपेंडेंसी डाल दी है. अकॉर्डिंग टू यू, व्हाट शुड बी द फर्स्ट स्टेप? अगर आप मेरी जगह रहते तो क्या करते? हमें my bad, I accidentally cleared the Chrome. Okay, okay, again I am repeating. मेरे को डिपेंडेंसी इंजेक्शन अपने ऐप में इम्प्लीमेंट करना है टू इम्प्लीमेंट द रिपोजिटरी पैटर्न. ओके, वाया यूजिंग डिपेंडेंसी इंजेक्शन यूजिंग द डैगर हिल फ्रेमवर्क. तो मैंने आपको डॉक्यूमेंट शेयर किया है. व्हाट शुड बी द फर्स्ट मेथड? व्हाट शुड आई डू टू स्टार्ट इम्प्लीमेंटिंग डैगर हिल? Darshini, let's start with you.
We should make component dependency.
We should component dependency.
Modules and all.
We should create modules, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's start creating modules. Yes, it's a good start. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a package. Okay, we're gonna name it di. Okay, but before that, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to create a package for the name data. Okay, inside it I'm gonna create a interface. Okay, we'll call it as repository. Okay, and here, uh, okay, not sure why this is happening. Cool. So अब क्योंकि रिपोजिटरी है, which gonna talk to different data source, so I'm gonna have some common method. Okay, common method can be included like suspend fun, send message to the model, which is of type input, of type string. Okay, we gonna send the message, and we gonna receive a uh, uh, what we can say, receive a output, right? Now suspend fun, send image prompt. Okay, which gonna have a image, okay, of type bitmap. Okay, and a input of type of string. Okay, I think these two operation that we are gonna do primarily in our app. Okay, now the local services will be, let's say, uh, uh, let me think. अगर अपन इसको इंटरफेस बनाते हैं, so we need to do the binds, or if we make it a class, then we can simply inject it. Okay, so we can create a class. I'm gonna call it as a network service. Okay, which gonna interact with the model and uh, provide the response for us. Okay, uh, let me think. If we do that, cool. Let's see. Okay, अब नेटवर्क सर्विस का डिपेंडेंसी क्या होगा? इसका डिपेंडेंसी होगा इंजेक्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर ऑफ टाइप जनरेटिव मॉडल. ओके, जनरेटिव मॉडल. बट इस चीज को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए आई नीड टू ऐड द डिपेंडेंसी. आई एम जस्ट गोना टेक द डिपेंडेंसी फ्रॉम फ्रॉम हियर. ओके, फ्रॉम द ऑफिशियल ऐप. तो मैंने इसको यहाँ से उठाया, यहाँ पे इम्प्लीमेंट किया. जेमिनी AI, Gemini SDK. This is for the health. Okay, I'm gonna sync now. So network service, we gonna use the generative model, which we gonna get it from here. Okay, and here we gonna do suspend fun, uh, send message, which gonna take the input of type string. Okay, and we're gonna do generative we need to make it private val. Okay, Gen- generative model dot send dot uh, start chat. Okay, dot send message, and here will be the input. Okay, something like this. Suspend fun. Send, what was the other method? Send image prompt. Send image prompt. Okay, which gonna take input of type string and a image of type bitmap. Okay, for timing I'm just making this, we're gonna update it based on the different use case. Okay, so this is the whole responsibility of the network service. Okay, अब हमने नेटवर्क सर्विस को अगर इंजेक्ट कराना है तो हमें इसको ये चीज प्रोवाइड करके देनी पड़ेगी. ओके, द मॉडल. ओके, so what we gonna do in the di, I'm gonna do a class of type object which will be Gemini uh, Gemini module. Okay, okay, क्योंकि ये मॉड्यूल है, what I'm gonna do, I have to need to annotate it module and I have to do install in. क्योंकि ये थ्रू आउट द प्रोजेक्ट इस्तेमाल होगा, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do the singleton component class. Okay, now we have to create the configuration. Just a second. We have to create this configuration. कहाँ गया this this configuration, right? So uh, providing it from the here singleton provide Gemini configuration. Okay, and we can take it from here, and we're gonna call it like this way. Okay, because this is a function, this will be something like this. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna do provides singleton fun provide Gemini model. Okay, हमने पहले configuration बनाई, now we are creating this model. Okay, so I'm gonna use this and bam. Okay, for API की अभी के लिए अपन इसको ये कर देते हैं, we're gonna learn this in a next class. Now for the configuration, we're gonna take configuration and it is of type which is gonna use throughout the project. मैंने इसको मॉडल नेम API की ये कॉन्फ़िगरेशन दी, क्योंकि ये कॉन्फ़िगरेशन हमने और कहीं डिफाइन करके रखी थी, तो मैंने इसको पैरामीटर में मांग लिया. पैरामीटर में मांग लिया तो हमें इसको कहीं डिफाइन करना था. हमने इसको डिफाइन कर दिया, हमने इसको ऊपर डिफाइन कर दिया. ओके, एंड इस चीज को मैंने एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया. क्योंकि हमें नेटवर्क इट इज गिविंग मी दिस आइकन सेइंग दैट कि हाँ, अब आप इस क्लास को इंजेक्ट कर सकते हो क्यों? क्योंकि ये जनरेटिव मॉडल पे डिपेंड करता था, और ये आपने बता दिया है कि इसको कैसे प्रोवाइड करना है। ओके, अगर मेरे यूज केस में ये चीज नहीं रहती और मैं सिर्फ इंजेक्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर करता, तो भी मैं इस क्लास को बिना प्रोवाइड किए इंजेक्ट कर पाता, क्योंकि इसकी कोई डिपेंडेंसी नहीं है। ओके, are we able to understand till here? I'm giving you the revisions of what we have done till so far. Yeah, Harsh, go ahead.
State of the class like use. I'm little confused in that part. Like where should we use the class implementation? Where should we like use the interface where they override the functions?
That's a very good, valid question. Uh, but for time being, uh, try to be in the flow. But the good practice is to create the interface. The reason being, we don't want to showcase the implementation of what we are using. We just are giving importance to what the function is giving us. Okay, इंटरफेस का पूरा काम ये रहता है ताकि आप अपने ऐप को, अपनी क्लासेस को टेस्टेबल बना सको। ओके, जैसे कि आई विल जस्ट गिव यू अ सिनेरियो। हर्ष, आर यू अवेयर अबाउट टेस्ट केसेस, यूनिट टेस्ट केसेस? हम्म। सो अब अब मैंने क्या किया, लेट मी शोकेस द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। जस्ट अ सेकेंड। Okay, this will be like this will be like this. Okay, cool. Now repository is dependent upon network service। ठीक है, राइट? इन फ्यूचर मेरे को repository implementation का यूनिट टेस्ट करना पड़ेगा, राइट? सो आई, क्योंकि मैंने इसको क्लास प्रोवाइड कर दिया है, आई कैन नॉट मॉक इट इन द सेंस, let me create an interface, let it call network service, I network service बोलता हूँ, just to denote it the interface। okay, ये किए। okay, suspend fund send message, suspend fund send image from। okay, now अगर मैं इसको नेटवर्क सर्विस की जगह आई नेटवर्क सर्विस कर दूं, ओके, माय बैड, आई नेटवर्क सर्विस कर दूं, राइट? आई नेटवर्क सर्विस का कुछ भी इंप्लीमेंटेशन दे सकता हूं। ओके, इट कैन बी आई नेटवर्क सर्विस दिस वन, इसको मैं इंप्लीमेंट करता हूं ऐसे। ओके, सेंड मैसेज को मैं ये ले लेता हूं। ओके, अभी के लिए ये दे देते हैं, और सेंड इसको अभी के लिए ये दे देते हैं, इसको हटा देते हैं। ठीक है, ओके। नाउ इन द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, ओके, जब मैं इसको डिपेंडेंसी इंजेक्शन में जब करूँ, मैं इसको ये दे सकता हूँ। क्या दे सकता हूँ? नेटवर्क सर्विस दूंगा। ओके, बट जब मैं इस क्लास को यूनिट टेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, ओके, तो इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग network service, I'm gonna give it something like class fake network service. ओके, implement करके और send message में मैं rated whether my functionality is working, right? अब मैं खुद का implementation दे सकता हूँ और चेक कर सकता हूँ कि ये जो चीज मैंने यहाँ रिटर्न की है वो टेस्ट में थ्रू पासिंग सम लॉजिक मेरे को एक्सपेक्टेड आउटपुट दे रही है कि नहीं. ओके, सो दैट्स द होल पॉइंट ऑफ यूजिंग इंटरफेस. ओके, in order to make the code abstract. ओके, अब आप रिपोजिटरी, जब इस रिपोजिटरी को व्यू मॉडल में कॉल करोगे, सेंड मैसेज को कॉल करोगे, तो नेटवर्क सर्विस डॉट सेंड मैसेज, ये सेंड मैसेज कौन सी क्लास का है बता नहीं सकते unless until you explicitly know whether it is network service, okay, or fake network service. Okay, in that way we achieve the abstraction and make this code whole testable. I hope you got some context what we are doing here.
Sir, if I'm right, like with this, we can do multiple fake API calls too.
Yes, the whole process is to fake the API calls, क्योंकि आप टेस्ट में नहीं चाहते कि आ, आप एक्चुअल एपीआई कॉल मार के टेस्ट करो इन द यूनिट टेस्ट. अगर एक्चुअल एपीआई कॉल टेस्ट करना है तो आपके क्यूए इंजीनियर्स या एज अ डेवलपर जब फीचर बन गया तो आप टेस्ट करोगे, राइट? बट इफ यू वांटेड टू डू द यूनिट टेस्ट वर्किंग ऑफ दिस फंक्शनैलिटी, आप क्या करोगे? फेक फेक नेटवर्क सर्विस में यू गोटा डू वेल रिस्पॉन्स. ओके, और यहाँ पे जेसन ऑब्जेक्ट बना के, ओके, यू गोना पास द जेसन फाइल फ्रॉम द रॉ. ओके, एंड फिर आप अपना टेस्ट लिख सकते हो, समथिंग लाइक दैट. I hope everything is getting clear now. Cool. Okay. Now क्योंकि हमने ये चीजें बनाई लिए हैं तो let's use this thing only. Okay. नेटवर्क सर्विस हो गई, रिपोजिटरी हो गया. ओके, इसको हटा देते हैं, इसको हटा देते हैं. यहाँ पे आई एम गोना यूज द नेटवर्क सर्विस डॉट सेंड इमेज फ्रॉम. ओके, हाँ, रिपोजिटरी में मैं और क्या करना चाहता हूँ? सस्पेंड फन फेच हिस्ट्री. ओके, एंड यहाँ पे मैं डेट दे दूंगा कि कहाँ तक की मेरे को हिस्ट्री फेच करना है. ओके, हियर आई एम गोना इम्प्लीमेंट दिस. अब क्योंकि मेरे को हिस्ट्री फेच करना है, ये तो मेरे को एपीआई से नहीं मिलेगी, राइट? एपीआई का एआई मॉडल तो मेरे को ये चीज नहीं दे रहा है. सो व्हाट आई एम गोना डू, आई एम गोना क्रिएट अ लोकल सर्विस. ओके, एक इंटरफेस जल्दी से बनाते हैं. लोकल सर्विस, ओके, which gonna do load history. Okay, based on the date. For time being I am taking a string for clarity. Okay, इसका implementation करते हैं. Local service implementation. Okay, and I'm gonna implement the local service here. Okay, अच्छा, अगर अब मेरे को हिस्ट्री लोड करना है तो ये लोकल सर्विस क्लास किस चीज पे डिपेंड होनी चाहिए? ट्राई टू थिंक.
Room database.
करेक्ट, क्योंकि हमें यहाँ पे एक डेटाबेस चाहिए. ओके, इट कैन बी डीबी ऑफ टाइप एनीथिंग, रूम डेटाबेस. ओके, इट कैन बी SQL database, it can be any other database that you are using. Okay, so local होगा क्या? जब मैं चैट करते रहूंगा, ओके, अरे, not this. Whenever I am typing something, how can I cache my data in Android apps using the SQL database? Okay. जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे भेजा, okay, I'm gonna cache this question, okay, in the user role, and whatever the response I am getting, I'm gonna save it in the uh, in the database, so that अगर मैं पीछे जाके वापस आऊं, so I am able to persist all the chat that has been happened here, right? So चैट एप्लीकेशन का पूरा उद्देश्य ये है कि आपने जो जो चैट किया, यू कैन ऑलवेज हैव अ हिस्ट्री ऑफ इट, ओके। तो उस चीज को सीखने के लिए वी नीड अ रूम डेटाबेस, एंड इन नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 classes we gonna learn it and try to implement it, okay? But I'm trying to explain you the fundamentals of repository pattern, okay? If I showcase you this, वी आर बिल्डिंग, अभी तक हमने ये चीज बना ली है, वी आर बिल्डिंग दिस इन अवर अपकमिंग क्लासेस, ओके। कैश का और भी डेफिनेशंस होता है एंड्रॉयड में, बट वी आर गोना फोकस ऑन दिस टू थिंग्स। ये दोनों चीज इस चीज से बातें करेंगी, अपना व्यू मॉडल इससे बात करेगा, ओके। रिपोजिटरी डिसाइड करेगा कि मेरे को कहाँ से क्या फेच करना है, ओके। आई होप दैट इज क्लियर। नाउ हमने लोकल सर्विस दे दी, ओके। आई एम गोइंग टू हियर, आई एम गोइंग टू implement the private wall local service of type interface, ओके। एंड मैं क्या बोलूंगा, यहाँ इसको कॉल करूंगा लोकल सर्वर सर्विस लोड हिस्ट्री डेट विल बी डेट, ओके। नाउ हमने जेमिनी एचडीके का वो बनाया था मॉड्यूल, राइट? नाउ वी नीड टू क्रिएट अ मॉड्यूल फॉर दिस टू, क्योंकि आप देख सकते हो यहाँ दोनों का नहीं आ रहा है, ओके। एंड वी गोना create a module for repository, okay? But आई गोना शेयर दिस कोड बेस, जितना भी हमने अभी तक यहाँ इम्प्लीमेंट किया है, आई एम गोना शेयर दिस कोड बेस विथ यू ऑल, सो दैट you can give it a try and create a module for those interface, okay? And try to connect it with the view model, okay? Okay. uh, how can you do that? If you go to here, in order to inject a interface, you need to use this bind method, okay? मैंने आपको पिछले क्लास में बताया था कैसे हम एक इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को एक इंटरफेस से बाइंड करते हैं। क्यों करते हैं? क्योंकि हम इंटरफेस का ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं बना सकते, राइट? हमें उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन देना पड़ता है, ओके। सो आई एम गोना रिक्वेस्ट यू ऑल टू गिव दिस एक्टिविटी अ ट्राई। मैं आपको ये स्केलेटन प्रोजेक्ट शेयर कर दूंगा, ओके, एंड देन you can give it a try and try to create this modules। मैं आपको बना के दे देता हूँ, that gonna be a network module, okay? क्योंकि आप यहाँ पे वो करोगे, ओके, यहाँ पे आप इंटरफेस को प्रोवाइड करोगे, तो यू कैन डू इट द दिस वे, ओके। जैसे हमने नेटवर्क मॉड्यूल के लिए किया, यू हैव टू डू फॉर द लोकल सर्विस, ओके। लोकल सर्विस के बाद आपको ऐप चलानी है कि सब कुछ प्रॉपरली गिवन है कि नहीं, आपको एप्लीकेशन क्लास बनानी पड़ेगी, ओके। And in the Android manifest, you have to give it the application class here, okay? But for that I'm giving you this skeleton project. Give dependency injection a try. Okay, and try to make this app work. Anyway, मैं आपको कल इसका सॉल्यूशन दूंगा ही, but give it a try. Okay, so in today we learned about repository pattern. Okay, हमने थोड़ा सा डिपेंडेंसी इंजेक्शन को फिर से रिवाइज किया. ओके, हमने बेस यूआई बना लिया है. हमने नेविगेशन सेटअप कर लिया, टैब लेआउट सेटअप कर लिया, हमने हॉरिजॉन्टल पेजर के बारे में सीखा, हमने जनरेटिव मॉडल जेमिनी एचडीके क्या है, उसको कैसे यूज करना है, कैसे कॉन्फ़िगर करना है, वो भी सीखा. In tomorrow's call, what we gonna do? We just gonna add all the layers together to make our app work. Okay, and apart from that, we gonna also learn some edge cases and how we can solve them. Okay, so that's pretty much it from my end for today. Tomorrow we're gonna continue building upon this project and make complete our second project of this course. Okay, so as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ping me over the DM or the group. Okay, and just after this call I'm gonna share you the code base and you can give it a